I think the future is here in the sense that I am already using AI in all my consultations, because with the iTero, we have the option of showing the patient the smile before they even start their treatment. Within 2 minutes, I can show them the smile in their face. Then the patient turns to the computer, and then there is them speaking, telling me what they told me 5 minutes ago, but with the new teeth in their mouth. That is amazing.
Most dentists aren't trained to run businesses, let alone scale them. This is the TechDental Podcast for dental leaders who want more than just tips. We give you systems, strategies, and straight answers. I'm Dr. Randeep, and each week I sit down with the operators, AI founders, entrepreneurs, and business leaders who are reshaping what's possible in dentistry. If you want a smarter, scalable, future-proof practice, then this is the podcast for you. Welcome to TechDental. Today we're joined by Dr. Gina Vega, Principal Dentist at Bishopsgate Dental Care and a leading expert in Invisalign and cosmetic dentistry. As a leader in Invisalign treatments, Dr. Vega has seen firsthand how innovations like the iTero scanner are not just enhancing the way we treat patients, but also reshaping the future of dental practices. In this episode, we'll explore how embracing digital tools can improve efficiency, patient satisfaction, and the overall business of dentistry. Whether you're a dental practice owner, a clinician, or simply passionate about the future of dental tech, this conversation is packed with valuable insights. Let's dive in. Welcome, Dr. Vega.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So you've achieved remarkable success in both clinical practice and as a leader in the dental community. Can you share a bit about your journey into dentistry and what inspired you to specialize in Invisalign and cosmetic dentistry?
Well, I am from Mexico. So I qualified as a dentist in Mexico City. When I was only 8 years old, I decided that I wanted to be a dentist. I know it was very, very young age, but I really enjoyed going to the dentist at that time. I fall in love with everything, the white coats, the lovely nurses, but the smell of the practice, I loved it. So that's what inspired me to become a dentist. So I was very fortunate to achieve my dream, and I qualified in Mexico City in 1998. I moved to the UK in the year 2000. And when I realized I couldn't work here as a dentist, I decided I wanted to requalify. I couldn't see myself really doing anything different. So I requalified as a dentist in 2004 through the International Qualifying Exam, the IQE. Then after that, I started working on NHS practices, mixed practices. And it was in the year 2008 that I fall into full private dentistry. At the time, I have to be completely honest, I was just doing everything, really, all type of dentistry as a general dentist. In 2010, I was very fortunate to be able to buy Bishopsgate Dental Care. So I bought the practice, and it's when I fall into Invisalign. I laugh a little bit about it because at the time I didn't know what Invisalign was, but I inherited with the practice about 20 Invisalign patients. So that is how I started, really. When I bought the practice was bankrupt, and the previous owner just basically disappeared, leaving me with no information on what Invisalign was. I didn't know how to put the attachments, how to do the interproximal reduction, all those things which I just had to learn on the go. The people at Invisalign really helped me out because they realized that obviously I needed to certify in order to be able to treat more patients. So that's how I started with Invisalign. Because I was so busy running the practice, trying to turn it around after the bankruptcy, I really didn't concentrate my efforts on Invisalign. It was just if a patient arrives, I was fine, I will do Invisalign. But it was in 2016 that I realized I really enjoyed doing Invisalign, the changes in the smiles, basically changing the patient's lives. So it's when I decided to put my all into it. Now I have over 1,250 cases under my name. And because I kind of think that Invisalign is kind of the basis or the straightening of the teeth is the basis of any type of cosmetic dentistry, I then decided to concentrate on that. So about 70% of my practice is dedicated between to Invisalign and cosmetic dentistry.
Okay, so you're really thrown in at the deep end, and essentially, as you mentioned, you had to kind of take this practice from bankruptcy to kind of growing and thriving. So, did you kind of gauge straight away that the technology is the way to go in terms of the Invisalign? I mean, how did you go from the Invisalign kind of having the scanner there and then kind of growing that patient base? I mean, how did you communicate that to patients, and how did you feel the technology actually help not only grow patients but attract more patients to the practice and kind of monitor them? So what was your kind of experience on that? Was it something that you felt innately that this is the way forward with digital dentistry? Or was it something that patients asked for?
Well, I am an early adapter. I like to try things as soon as I know about them. So when I started growing my business, my Invisalign business in 2016, my Invisalign rep at the time, she was very, very good. She was supporting me on open days and things like that. And then she said, Gina, I think the next step for you is to try a scanner. I basically was the first time that I heard about a scanner. So I decided to borrow one for an open day. And I tried it. I thought, oh my God, this is so amazing. How fantastic that I don't have to do these putty impressions, that I don't have to, because if it doesn't go right, you send it thinking it's perfect. And then a few weeks later, they said, actually, you need to retake the impression. And that took so long. So in 2017, I bought my first scanner. So in 2017, it was an Element 1, I remember. I still have it. I am about to trade it for another one. But that's my first scanner. And it really changed my way of doing things because I was able to show to the patient straight away, this is how we go. This is the problems in your bite. We need to address these. And the patient was really, really amazed. They all got so surprised. So I was one of the early adapters with the scanner, even though I know I have friends that have been with Invisalign since the late 90s, and they had probably their first scanner in 2004, 2005, or something like that. I can't remember exactly when they started, but for me, that was it. I started 2017. I know there was not a lot of scanners around. So yeah, that was the way that I started. With regards to seeing the advantage of it and how to the growing the practice, it was just something that came naturally with the scanner because patients were recommending friends from work, colleagues, because I'm in the city of London. At the time, there was not a lot of my patients were living around, but they were there to go to work. And it was convenient to come to see us at lunch breaks or just, things like that. So and then we saw a lot of people from the same companies coming to see us because they realized their friends were having Invisalign, and then they talk about this technology that we had, and therefore that was basically how my numbers really started to go up and up and up and up. Yeah.
Fantastic. So yeah, essentially word of mouth from having this amazing technology and kind of using it as for treatment, but also as a patient communication tool, as an education tool as well. That's fantastic. And in terms of bringing this in, because you mentioned you're an early adopter, and often with early adoption, you have this, an unknown where you essentially you're taking the first risks with the new technology. So how do you kind of what's your mindset around risk if you're adopting, say, a new piece of technology? Are you somebody who just would dive straight in and say, look, let's do this? Do you have any kind of period of research or trialing things out? Or do you tend to just, hit the ground running and say, let's adopt this and let's see how we get on? I mean, what's your thought process behind bringing in a new technology into your practice?
I am a little bit of do it or not do it. So, for example, when I had the first scanner, I went straight to it, even to do the restorative part of. So I was using it also for my crowns and veneers and bridges and all that. I even use it now for dentures, But I am one of those that will jump straight into it. If I bought a piece of kit, I have to use it, and I have to use it to the full. About a year later, about 2018, I actually asked my head nurse to hide the potty and wash from the other dentist, so they were to use the scanner. So I kind of bullied them to use the scanner. Now we have 3 scanners, so we all use the scanners for everything. But the same thing happens, like when you hear about working with loupes or microscopes, you just need to go and do it. Of course, there is always a learning period. That learning period has to be, you need to start somewhere, and it's just to trying and testing and all that. I also push my nurses to scan and take photos. So I teach them, I take the time of, sometimes the appointment may be taking a little bit longer because a new nurse is learning to scan. But that is also part of the learning of the new technology. It's not only for dentists to use, but also to make it worth for the team to help us out. So I do believe in working as a team, and therefore my nurses, my staff need to be able to work with the technology that we are using.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I think team buy-in is really important. I think if you can involve the team, they find it interesting as well. And often they're your best advocates with the patients as well. I mean, they talk to them a lot more sometimes. So no, that's fantastic. I mean, how do you envisage the future of digital orthodontics evolving, in the next few years with AI and things like this coming in? I mean, what's your thought in terms of how that could enhance treatment planning and patient outcomes? Do you see it kind of automating, patient retention, patient planning, treatment planning? What's your kind of view on the AI side of things and how they will integrate with iTero or scanning in general?
Well, I think the future is here, in the sense that already using AI in all my consultations, because with the iTero, we have the option of showing the patient the smile before they even start their treatment. So with the icon simulator, the smile simulator, we are able to show the patient within seconds how the smile could look like. We also use, with the Invisalign a practice app, we have the option to record a video of the patients on the first consultation. So we record this video. So what I do is I take a scan, I take a few photos with the Invisalign practice app, and then I take a video. Then I sit the patient in front of the iTero, and we will then discuss what are the issues in the mouth, what is the malocclusion, what we're doing. And then within 2 minutes, I can show them the smile in their face. And similarly, about 2 or 3 minutes later, my nurse has already opened the video the lab, in the computer, because it's still not integrated with iTero. That is coming in the next few months. But so then the patient turns to the computer, and then there is them speaking, telling me what they told me 5 minutes ago, but with the new teeth in their mouth. So that is amazing, because a lot of people are hesitant to spend money in treatment. Unfortunately, a lot of people see orthodontic treatment or using aligners as a cosmetic treatment. When in reality, yes, it helps the aesthetics and of the smile, improves the smile. But in the majority of the case, there is problems behind that malocclusion. There is tooth wear, there is gum disease because they are not able to clean their teeth properly, and so on. So when they see how the smile is going to look like, when I show how easy it's going to be to floss, or how I can create the space for the restorations, then the patient goes, yes, it's worth spending the money for this. And also now with the latest version of the outcome simulator, we can also see how, if we're planning restorative treatment in the anterior segment, the patient is able to see it. So I can show them, okay, if we were to leave it without restoring the let's say, the worn teeth, then it will look like this. But if you are considering to do composite bonding or veneers, they can look like that. So you can already integrating the digital smile design into the consultation. So those 40 minutes that the patient is in the practice with the consultation, they are already seeing what the future may look like. And then then you put a little bit of a seed in their head. No, you're planting a seed saying, okay, you can stop here. You can stop in there straightening your teeth. Or we can, after the treatment, you may decide to go for restoration. I like to inform my patients of everything. And I think an image speaks more than many words. So that's why it's so important to use the technology that is available for us.
Brilliant. And in terms of, beyond the treatment planning, have you seen any impact on kind of patient, satisfaction and retention rates from using these advanced scanning technologies? I mean, you mentioned kind of word of mouth. I mean, particularly in comparison to kind of traditional materials. How have you found that's had an impact on your kind of retention rates of patients?
I think it is a little bit of a combination of how the patients are treated at the practice. So they feel that they're welcome. They see that there is equipment, that we are basically adapting technology. And people like to see that. They don't necessarily want to go to a dentist where they're just told what they need to do without really understanding what is going on in their mouths. So what I do is I try to do a scan for every new patient, whether it is for Invisalign or not. And then we can discuss many issues, showing them. So we see patients coming back again and again and again for their checkups. It's simply because we are showing them where there is gum recession. We want to monitor gum recession. The best way to monitor, for example, that gum recession or tooth wear will be with a scan. We do a scan, and then a year later, we take another scan, and then we can compare them. And that is something that I think iTero has this big advantage, in the sense that we can use the time-lapse feature of it, where you can put two scans side by side, and it compares. So I can show the patients, okay, yes, the gum is stable, you don't have more gum recession, but then we can see a little bit of wear on the root surface because of the fact that it is exposed. Dentin is exposed and is going to wear quicker than the enamel, and so on. So the patient is seeing that. So then, of course, they want to come 6 months later, a year later, to check, to monitor, to carry on the conversation that we had from the very beginning the practice. So I think that if we use the tools that we are presented with in an efficient way, if we communicate this very clearly to the patients, then you have patients coming back again and again because they trust you. They seen it with their eyes. It's not, sometimes it happens that the patient comes in and they say they've been with their old dentist for probably, 10 years. And my dentist retired and he was so lovely and blah, 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 blah. So now I'm looking for a new dentist and I read your reviews and that's why I'm here. And then when you do the scan and then you show them that they do actually have decay, because then you can use the NIRI of the Invisalign. That is basically the near, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's like an infrared image. So you can actually show decay within the iTero. So they will believe you that the decay is there and that probably is not that you only wanted to upsell treatment because you are the new dentist. So it gives the patient confidence that you are actually treating them properly. And you are not only saying, oh, you need the filling because you are new in the practice and we do this. No, every new patient has to have fillings. Not at all. We show them. And that's why I think patients trust us and they want to come to see us. Because we work in the city, as I mentioned, we have a lot of patients moving work, right? They move offices, they go to other locations. But very, very lovely the fact that they come to see us. They still come to see us. We have patients that have retired and they don't have any reason to come to the city at all, but they will arrange a lunch on the day they come to see us to make the most of the day in London. So yeah, we have that. Thankfully, we had a lot of loyalty with our patients.
So really, you're kind of beyond the Invisalign aspect of it. You're using it throughout your patient journey, really, as you mentioned. With you're scanning patients, you're scanning new patients coming in. So yeah, I can see how that's adding a lot of value because you're using it as an educational tool, a communication tool, and as you said, tracking. And yeah, a picture or an image speaks 1,000 words. So that's brilliant. I mean, in your experience, what would you say are the key metrics or indicators that dental practices should track to evaluate ROI of adopting such technologies? I mean, how long, in your experience, does it typically take before you start to see measurable benefits?
Well, definitely is something that your practice manager should be keeping an eye. I would probably suggest that it takes us probably about 6 months to see some return of the investment. At the beginning, you are not sure. You're taking longer appointments because you are learning to scan. And that is obviously going to impact in the many patients that you can see in a day, right? So if you're learning to scan instead of doing a 40-minute consultation, maybe you want to book an hour consultation because you are not sure of how things are. But once you get quicker, when you're really understanding what you need, what you're doing, then you can cut down the length of your appointments, and then that facilitates you seeing more patients during the day. I think outtake of treatment is also a very measurable thing to do. So the practice managers can have a look and say, okay, well, we've seen, 10 new patients in May. Of those 10 new patients, you done five scans. And of those 5 people that had the scans, the 5 took on the treatment or only the 1. So those are the things that you can measure. So there are definitely ways that you can measure the return of your investment. But I think regardless, it makes your patient journey so much smoother that patients then feel more involved in their treatment because they understand what is going on, and the patient satisfaction is going to be higher. So you are going to see that also in good reviews, and good reviews will bring to you new patients. It's not only how the new scanner is going to bring the return of the investment on a specific treatment, like, for example, with Invisalign, but in overall, the patient satisfaction will bring the reviews up and your patients will come to see you.
Fantastic. And in terms of again, just from a business perspective, in your experience, how do you balance the costs of adopting such high-tech solutions with the long-term benefits, both in terms of kind of patient satisfaction and profitability for your practice? How do you balance those things? You mentioned that you tend to either do it or you don't, so you kind of dive in. But what's your thought process behind that?
I think my thought process is in the sense that adopting new technologies that are available are going to improve many things, okay? It is going to improve the patient satisfaction, but it's also going to improve my level of dentistry because you can check, when I finish to do some bonding and we're doing records for a retainer, for example, you can actually see how well your margins are, or how probably you could have improved the margins and the palatal aspect or things like that. So it kind of helps you to not only sell business, but also is you look back at what you've done and then you said, okay, yes, I can improve all this. I could have done this better. So that also is going to bring my satisfaction to work. So it's and the team, if the team are involved and they know how to scan, how to take photos, they are also going to be more satisfied in their jobs. So I think adopting things is not only for the patient, it's also for the benefit of anybody using that technology. So that's why I like to try new things. Whether I have the money to invest at the time or not will depend obviously on how things are going through the year. But the majority of these new technologies, you can get a loan. It's like you'd go for Invisalign and you want to buy your iTero. You don't need to even do Invisalign in your practice to buy an iTero and use it as the feature of we have the oral health suite. And that one, for example, highlights every single problem that is in the mouth, from oral health to tooth wear, the time lapse, and all those things. So I go and said, okay, I can make a deposit of £5,000, and then the rest you pay over 12, 24, 36 months, you see? So the money shouldn't really be an issue, because there are options for payment. And if at the end of the day you see you don't try what you are investing, then that is your own fault, that you're not really working it properly. You're not really making the most of it. And that's why it's a good idea to dive deep, in the deep. When you buy a piece of kit, use it and abuse it because it's for your benefit. And at the end, you are paying the bills every month, right? So make the most of it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Actually, you mentioned, using it as almost like a tool to motivate yourself as well. How you mentioned you look back at your work and see how you could improve. So that's a brilliant way to frame it as well. With the AI-powered platforms like Invisalign Outcome Simulator and iTero simulation features, when you are speaking to patients and showing this to them, and obviously they know it's a simulation, how do you ensure that your patients understand and trust the digital predictions that they see? And what role do you think that plays in their decision-making process, when choosing Invisalign, say, over other orthodontic options?
The most important thing is to be clear with the patient and say, okay, this is a projection. This is a prediction of how long your treatment is going to take. Because when we show them the clean check and it comes to, 25 aligners, 30 aligners, would you know by your experience that that treatment is going to take probably 1 or 2 refinements or additional aligners, then you need to make sure that the patient understands that this is just a prediction and that we know that a computer is very easy to manipulate, is very predictable, but the human body is not. So what is important is to then you put your personal experience or professional experience to say, okay, in my opinion, normally a case like this will need 1 extra additional set of aligners, or we may need a couple of them. In the very beginning, you're going to finish with a straightening almost perfect, but maybe the bite is not going to be quite there yet. So then we need more aligners for that. So I think communicating that very clearly is very important. Also telling them this is just a computer-generated image. Your teeth most likely will look very, very similar. They're probably not going to be 100% the same, but they are going to be very close to be perfect. So then the patients already are putting an idea in their head. Okay, my smile is going to look like that. So then through the treatment, then you have the opportunity to reassess and telling them, okay, things are going very well. We are we are in the right direction. Or, you know what, something is not tracking right now as it should be. Let's see. With the iTero, you take another scan and then you compare the number of aligners that they're using with the stage of the clean check. And the same computer will generate then a report that is going to tell you, okay, these tooth is moving, these teeth are tracking beautifully. And there are these couple of them are probably in a yellow. That means that it's not going the way they are. And at that point, then you decide, do I stop here and order a new set of aligners, or can we use auxiliary techniques in order to be able to help the teeth track better? So again, you put the technology working in your favor because you are still communicating with the patients and reassuring them, things are going in the right direction. Or if they are not going in the right direction, you have the tools to change that, to say, okay, let's do another scan and we start from there. So yeah, that's very important to communicate with the patients.
The way you described it is almost like a collaboration between the AI aspect of it, and obviously then you have your experience and judgment to come in and say, well, yeah, this is a guide, but this is which way we're going to steer your treatment plan. So that's an excellent way to put it. If you could design your dream dental gadget, something completely out of the box that would change the way you approach patient care or treatment planning. If you had like an unlimited budget, what kind of gadget would you design, which you think would be useful for yourself and your patients?
I think it would be a scanner, very similar to what iTero is, but I would probably integrate intraoral camera, the ability to take photos with the wand as you're scanning. It would probably be something that I immediately start printing my aligners in the office. It's just basically to cut down the time. It would be great if we could have the ability to have like a microscope or a loops to go deep in. Yeah, it would be really cool if you could go and scan and then go so deep in it that you are using it not only for a scanner, but you are using it as your loops, you're using it as your microscope, you're taking photos with it. So something on that would be great. And definitely integrating the video in the scanner so you don't have to move the patient from one. They just stand around, right? It's not that they're going masses, but it would be lovely to have everything in one.
Every second counts. Every second counts.
Exactly. Yes.
Brilliant. And yeah, just before we finish off, just one final point. I mean, for dental practices, looking to stay ahead of the curve in adopting advanced technologies like Invisalign or the iTero scanner, What would be your top piece of advice for them, in the next 1 to 2 years to ensure that they're maximizing, both the patient experience and their practice's growth?
Well, definitely getting a scanner if they don't have one. If you want the benefit of education with the scanner, the time lapse and all that, obviously iTeros are the best ones, especially now in the Lumina, where it takes us half the time to scan. So it's so quick. It's amazing. But yes, adopt technology. Unfortunately, I see practices not adopting this technology, staying behind. We are treating many generations that were born with a telephone in their hands. Unfortunately, they are going to expect technology in every single aspect of their lives, from how they work, so how they travel, to how they are treated in their health. And that includes dentistry. So we have to be able to cater for these new generations that are going to expect technology in every single part of their life. So yes, it has to be adopted.
Dr. Vega, thank you. That's awesome.
You're welcome. No, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. And
yes.
Thank you for coming on.
No, thank you.
Scaling a business isn't a dream, it's a decision. This is the TechDental Podcast. And if you found value today, follow, share, and subscribe. This is the edge every dental leader needs.